Hello, everybody. First of all, let me extend a very warm welcome to all my dear friends on my YouTube channel. So, guys, in this video, I'm going to discuss about the strategy to effectively utilize that extra 15 minutes of reading time which you'll be getting before you start writing your examinations. In other words, I'm going to discuss the do's and the don'ts in that extra 15 minutes of reading time. Guys, this video in particular, I'm making for the CA Foundation students, but CA Inter and CA Final students could as well go through this video because there are certain pointers that could be common for all the three levels of examinations. So please do watch this video till the very end. So guys, my name is Prathik Jain. I'm a chartered accountant by profession and a teacher by hardcore passion. I handle the accountancy subject for grade 11th and 12th for both CBSE and Tamil Nadu State Board. I also handle the accountancy subject at the CA Foundation level. So guys, often I ask my students that for accountancy and law paper, what do you think is the duration that has been allocated, for the examination purpose? So students often say, sir, we have 3 hours for, both the papers. I mean, each of them. So I say them, you don't have 3 hours, but you have 3 hours, 15 minutes, because that extra 15 minutes, what you get, as a reading time, if you can strategize well, if you can utilize that 15 minutes well, that could actually, decide the overall success or the failure of the examinations. So this is what we're going to discuss in this video today. So please do stick on to this video. So guys, I would suggest students to, be in the examination hall somewhere between 1:30 to 1:35, because the moment you enter the hall, you need to find out the, place where your roll number has been put up. So you might need some time to search that place and settle down. And once you settle down, obviously, when you enter the examination hall, you might enter with, a lot of anxiety and panic. So, you need to settle down, take deep breaths, just calm yourself so that, your total mind and body is under control. So for that, a couple of minutes might be required. So if you come late in the examinations hall, so with that anxiety and panic, if you just, take up the question paper and start, reading it, things could, be a little bit out of control. So please ensure that before you get the question paper in hand, you take at least 10 minutes of time to completely relax yourself. So 1:30 or 1:35 is the maximum time by which you should be there at your place in the hall. So once the bell strikes at 1:45 p.m., you will start getting your question papers. So from 1:45 to 2 p.m., effectively you have 15 minutes, for reading the question paper. But you will not have that 15 minutes of time for reading because depending on where you're seated, if you're seated somewhere at the end, you might take a couple of more seconds to, get those question papers in hand. So there is some leakage of time there. And secondly, you will be getting your answer scripts at that particular time slot. And you might have to spend some time, filling the first sheet of your answer script, by mentioning your roll numbers, subjects, etc. So approximately 3 minutes, you might lose it down for the paperwork. So ineffective, you might have, 12 minutes in hand to, probably read and strategize the, question paper uh, in a way that you can, don't, mess up. So the first thing that you will do is that you will read the compulsory question number 1, not in the beginning, but at the end. Please listen to me very carefully. I'm not saying you not to read the compulsory question. You have to read it, but not in the beginning, but at the end. Why I'm saying so, that you will understand in the next few minutes. So guys, totally you will come across 6 questions. In that, the first question is your compulsory question, which you will not read. So you will start reading from question number 2. So that will be the first question that you will read, so on and so forth. So it goes like this. Now you'll have to allocate 2 minutes per question. So you have totally 6 questions into 2 minutes per question. So total 12 minutes, right? So when you read this question number 2, you will be spending maximum time is 2 minutes. And when you read the question, guys, please ensure that you don't do an in-depth reading. You have to read at the superficial level, because there are 2 primary motive of utilizing this, 12 minutes of time. The first motive being the questions what you read, all the questions what you read should help you to eliminate that question, which is given in choice. So that is the first and the foremost motive. So when your motive is to, read the question at the superficial level and, eliminate that question, then there's no point in reading the questions in depth. And the second, objective of, utilizing this 12 minutes of time is that you need to set the order or the sequence in which you'll be, attending the question one after the other. So these are the 2 primary motives, or the target that you should be achieving in that first 12 minutes of time. So let's understand how do we eliminate the question first. So as I discussed, the first question being compulsory question, you will not read. So you would have started reading the question from the second part. So second question has got here three subdivisions A, B, and C. So you'll allocate 2 minutes maximum to read it. So just glance the question to identify whether the question is easy or challenging. Easy question means that question you can do it just like that. And challenging is like you might need to spend some additional time, to decide, what to do with that question. Now, when people read these kind of questions, the moment they come across easy question, they be happy. But the very next moment when they come across the challenging question, they start panicking. So please understand, in that 12 minutes of reading time, when you're just going through the question at the superficial level, it is not possible that you read a challenging question and answer should strike you instantly. Yeah, of course, easy questions, you might get the answers. Okay, this is what we have to do. You'll have all the steps running in your mind, right? In that 2 minutes, you can do that. But for the challenging questions, you might not get the same feeling. So please understand, challenging questions are those questions which you will get the flow, not just by one reading. You might have to read that question, 2 or 3 times, so that you get to understand what they're asking and how do we proceed with that. So just because of reading the question at the first instance, don't, get panic, because once you become, panic, or if you get an anxiety attack, so overall control of the paper is lost, right? So please ensure if you come across a challenging question, just tell your heart and mind that no problem. Once I start the question, when I do the main examination, that time I'll read this question 2 or 3 times and I'll get it. Keep that kind of thought in your mind. You'll be very comfortable. So you have to read question 2 to question 6, and what you do is you can slightly mark the questions as E and C. Please ensure that you don't write anything significantly in the question paper, because that could call for some problem. So please do not write anything significant, just very light remark on that E and C, very small, which only you can see it, right? So mark it like that for all the questions: E, E, C, C, E, C, E. So easy questions and challenging questions basically. So once you finish marking it, okay, you're not looking at question 1 at all, guys. You're not looking at the question number 1 at all. You're focusing on only on 2 to 6. So here it is quite obvious that the question 4, both subdivisions are quite challenging for you compared to question 2, 3, 5, and 6. In 2, 3, 5, and 6, you have a lot of E questions, but in 4, you don't have any E questions, which means that the first step, elimination round, is successful. So question 4, you're going to eliminate. That is very clear. So once you successfully achieve your first objective, the second objective will be to set the sequence in which you'll be attending the question. For this, you will have to come back and read your question number 1, because by that time, you would have completely read question 2 to question 6. Question 1, why you're supposed to read it is because when you have to set the sequence right, so you have to decide that compulsory question 1, should I be doing at the first case, or should I be doing in the middle, or should I be doing at the end? So for that purpose, reading question 1 is very important. A lot of people, what they do is they completely ignore question 1. You cannot do that. You have to read the question, not at the beginning, but at the end. Why I'm saying not to read in the beginning is because anyways, you have to do that question. So elimination round, reading that question will not help you or not serve any purpose, right? So, but at the sequence level, to set the order, you need to, read that question number 1 to decide where you will fit, whether you fit in the beginning, middle, or at the end. So this is how you will set the sequence. And in addition to that, what you can add is you can add the word S, M, or L: small questions, medium questions, and lengthy questions. So when you write this also besides that E and C, you will be able to decide that which sequence you can just proceed with. For example, if you see third question is slightly better, so this will be the first question that you would probably want to do, and this would be the second question that you'll want to do. Second, fifth, and first question is what you're left with. So now between these three, you have to decide which question you have to, which question will be taking as the third, fourth, and the fifth one. Always remember one thing, that first impression is the best impression. So definitely the first question that you're going to present will be that question which is easy and short. Easy because you can get the answers right. Short because you will be able to complete that question well within the time. And therefore, your motivation level, everything will be so high. You will not be demotivated at any cost. You'll be highly motivated that you got the answers right. Second, you got it within the time. So overall, that experience will be very nice. On the contrary, if you choose a question which is tough or a lengthy in the first instance, So you might end up spending a lot of time. You might even eat away the time of the next question. So that will create a panic. And moreover, if the answer is wrong, or if you're not getting the conclusion of that answer, you will all the more panic, and your overall experience will be miserable. So please do not do that mistake, because that is a mistake what I did in the first examination. So with that experience, I'm telling you, please do not deal with the lengthy and the tough question in the beginning. Go with the easy and the short question. The logic is very simple. Imagine that if you are evaluator, and if you take up a answer script where you have a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and there's a lot of question gaps that is there in the between. So what will you have the impression about that paper, right? On the contrary, let's suppose you're correcting a paper, like the first three questions are like perfect, there's no flaws, there's no mistake. So what kind of image you'll have about the student, that yeah, he studied well, so rest of the question also should be decently done, so he will accordingly do it. So that is the same human psychology with everyone. So that's why they say that first impression is the best impression. So this is the sequence you have to maintain: easy questions first, then in that easy short, easy medium, easy lengthy, then you have to deal with the challenging question. In that also, challenging short, medium, and lengthy, we have to do at the end. Now, I would like to share my experience with all of you. This dates back to 2010, when I was preparing for my CA intermediate. So it was my first attempt, and the very first paper was accountancy. Uh, what mistake I did was that when I got the question paper, I started reading the compulsory question one. That is one thing which I should not have done, because anyways that question I have to do, so there's no point in reading that question, because the first priority should have been elimination of the question, which I didn't do. Second thing is, when I started reading the question one, I started getting a little bit of panic, because I had got questions from those chapter which I did not prepare much well. So since this was first compulsory question, what I thought was, I need to give proper impression. So I actually started calculating answers in mind, which is the second mistake I did. In this 12 minutes, guys, you are not supposed to do any kind of answer calculation in your mind. The only two things that you have to do is identify that question which you have to eliminate, and the sequence in which you're writing. Your real calculation of the answer should begin only from the 2 p.m. onwards. So when I started doing the calculation of the first compulsory question, obviously I did not have the time left for to read the remaining questions till the end. So I could not eliminate the questions which I was supposed to eliminate, nor I could set the sequence in which I'm supposed to do. So like that, I kept on, doing. And at the 2 p.m., I started with the very first question. That was the compulsory question. And that was all the more challenging question. So I took a tough question in the beginning, nor I got the answer, at the end of the time slot available for that first question. So overall, there was a panic atmosphere in my mind. And then I kept on proceeding with the second, third questions, just like that. And then I came across a question at the end. I don't know which two questions there were two questions left. And in that two questions, I had to do any one, and leave the other one in choice. The problem I realized at the end is that both these two questions, I was comparatively, knowing than the question that I already did. So let's suppose there's a question number three, which I've done. So compared to three, I was comfortable with these two questions. Now that in the beginning I did not set the sequence, I finished doing the third question, in an irregular manner. And later I learned that, okay, compared to third question, these two questions were better. Now what choice I have? I have the option to cut this and do with these two questions. So for that, the time should permit. All of you know that, that 3 hours is like, perfectly available to finish all the questions from the beginning till end without any mistakes. In that, if you cut and rewrite, there's no time left. So this is the mistake that will happen if you don't sequence it properly. So this is out of my learning that I'm telling you, that the 12 minutes of time that you get is only for eliminating the questions, eliminating that one question which you don't want to do it. And second, you have to set the sequence or the order of the question in which you want to, start writing. Because once the clock strikes, 2 p.m., you will not have too much of time to, thinks about the ifs and buts, right? So please do that planning in, that 12 minutes. Now some students might ask this question also, that sir, uh, in that 12 minutes I'm not able to do that complete work as you're saying. Let's suppose I need additional 2 or 3 minutes. So from 2 p.m. to 2 3 p.m., can I spend the time in planning? Is it okay? 100% okay. The extra 3 minutes of planning, if it is safeguarding you completely, then why not spend? So please do spend that extra 3 minutes even after 2 p.m. to plan the paper in such a way that you get to know what question you have to eliminate and in what sequence you have to prepare, right? And lastly, the point that I wanted to mention is that how to not sequence the question. For example, if you're starting with 2A, after 2A, if you want to write 2C, allowed. After that, if you want to write 2B, allowed. So this allowed. This is the order, allowed. If you want to do 4A, 4B, allowed. Next question, 4A, 4B, allowed. Next question, 3B, 3A, allowed. So within the question, the subdivision can be jumbled. But you cannot start with 2A and after that you go to 4A directly. So 2B, 2C, you're left. Not allowed. And after 4A, you cannot go with 3B. So once you start a particular question, within that, the subdivisions can be jumbled, but you have to finish all those subdivisions and then move forward, right? You cannot do this way that you start 6A, then after that you do 4B. Not allowed. This is not allowed. This is allowed. So sometimes people ask that, sir, 2A and 2C, I was able to comfortably do it. But 2B, I'm a little bit, confused. So what do we do? So you can approximately leave some pages, because when you read the question, you have a rough idea that how many pages you can leave. So leave that much pages and go to the next question. So when you find time at the end, come back and do this question. Nothing wrong, right? So be very careful and thoughtful, before you make the sequence, guys. That is very, very important. And that is not something which you experience only in the examination time. Now, this is the time. Today, when I'm recording on 7th of December, this is the time for all the CA Foundation students, how to learn or to get the knack of planning, because planning is an art that you need to learn, guys, because there is a saying that as a CA student, if you cannot plan for yourself now, then as a qualified CA, how will you plan for your clients and for your business? So the art of planning, is very, very important. So please learn that art. And now this is the period where, you can take a lot of, past examination question papers, print out, and, allocate that 15 minutes or 12 minutes slot for each paper. And, practice that in advance, that you don't have any new hand experience doing examinations, right? So everything needs to be practiced. So yes, this is what I wanted to communicate in this video. If you like this video, please do share this video to maximum students at the foundation, inter, and final level. And if you really like this video, please subscribe the channel and do press that bell icon button, so that the next video I upload, you get the notification about the same. Please, please, please share this video to maximum people, guys, because the more people appreciate this video, that is a kind of motivation that runs through all of us, so we can come back with the lot of other videos, for all of you, right? So yes, people, that's all from my end for today's session. I'll see you all in the next session. Until then, bye bye, see you, take care.